In Germany, the court of Schleswig-Holstein, which examined a European arrest warrant against Mr. Puigdemont, invoked precisely this lack of violence to determine that the actions attributed to him in relation to the celebration of the referendum do not constitute a crime in Germany, and thus rejected extradition on the crimes of rebellion or sedition. The court found that the referendum of October 1st, 2017 itself did not realize the required level of force because it could not have led to an immediate secession from Spain, and was intended by Puigdemont to only initiate further negotiations. It also denied the charge of public disorders. The prerequisite is that this supportive man should acknowledge and approve acts of violence and influence events. This was not the case with defendant Puigdemont. It only dealt with the referendum. He was not a spiritual boss of violence. In reports regarding the pretrial detention and the criminal proceedings against the pro-independence leaders, the United Nations Working Group on Arbitrary Detentions considered that the actions attributed to the pro-independence leaders were not violent, did not incite violence, and did not seek or result in violence. On the contrary, it found their actions constituted the pacific exercise of the rights to freedom of opinion, expression, association, assembly, and participation. Consequently concluded that their detention was arbitrary because it was a result of the exercise of these rights. Furthermore, in its annual report on its activities to the Human Rights Council, the Working Group on Arbitrary Detentions warns that Spain, the only EU country included in the report, has not implemented its recommendation to release the pro-independence leaders. The report also notes that it maintained its opinion even after reviewing the case as requested by Spain. On the other hand, Amnesty International, in its analysis of the Spanish Supreme Court's verdict, explains that a conviction for sedition is contrary to the principle of legality and criminalizes actions protected under international law. Taking into account the events that occurred, the peaceful celebration of a referendum, except for the Spanish police violence, punishment with heavy prison sentences lacks proportionality. Protect the European Parliament. Protect their immunity.